Welcome to First Issues. We have officially come to the last installment of our series on estate planning and drafting of wills with fiduciary specialist Refilwe Mogwe from Botswana Life Insurance Limited. Our previous conversations touched on the importance of planning and managing your estate, and most importantly, drafting a will for the benefit of those who remain upon your passing. Refilwe spoke about gathering the essentials as the first step to drafting a will. Tonight, she puts a lid on this series by discussing how and where to store your will safely as the last step to having a will. Refilwe, thank you so much again for coming back on First Issues. We are winding up our conversation on estate planning and wills. But we were talking the key steps to take when drafting a will, and we're at the very last step, which is store it safely. Where do we keep wills? I know in our previous conversation you briefly touched on that.
You can keep your will with you if it's safe. Some people prefer not to have their wills on them, given the sensitivity of the kind of contents that the document holds. But that's another option. You can also keep your will at the registrar of the High Court. That is the custodian of wills, and it's the safest place to have your will, so trust that. And if you're taking and using our services, we also have a vault that we use for the convenience of our clients. And so those are the three places where you can store your will. It's important to, if it's a digital document, have it encrypted, so that there's that safety in terms of who can and who cannot have access to it.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about encryption right now, and somebody might be thinking, somebody might try to manipulate the content of this will wherever it is stored. So are there any ways that can show or that something is not tampered with, or in terms of fear, do these people have legitimate feelings to be fearful?
Yeah, that's an important one also, because it also links to the requirements or under having a will that we spoke about in the earlier conversation, to say that fraud is also one thing that is not accepted, where a will is to be considered valid. Because if I present a document and say this is my father's will and I have signed it on his behalf, that is fraud. Because I've forged maybe his signature or something like that, or I've removed certain pages and replaced them with certain pages, or I've concealed an even later document. So, because the thing with a will is, if I had a will in 2010 and I have another one in 2020, the most recent document is the one that is accepted. So now when we're talking about encryption, where we're working in this digital world, it really helps if you're sending your client, or you are keeping your will in digital format, to have a little password. So encryption is not, I know the word sounds fancy, but it's just really locking and having a password for it, so that it's a password that is known to you only. Remember, the other thing is, when you encrypt such a document, you're doing it for your personal use, because chances are, if you pass on, who's going to have access to it? That is why the filing it at the registry is very important also. So and then also another thing about storage is knowledge. Knowledge of where to go, and this is a question we get from our clients: how will you know when I've passed on? So you having a will is not a secret. It's not something that you should not talk about. Maybe the contents are what you would want to keep private, but it's also important to, when you have a will, have a conversation with your friend. I have a will at Botswana Life, or at my lawyers, or wherever. If anything happens to me, call X, Y, and Z. They will know what to do. So that is another form of storage.